Welcome back to Unapologetically Grown, owning every year, every curve, and every choice. The kitchen table podcast where it's always 5, or it will be from now on, for women over 40 who are juggling life with a little wisdom, a little wine, and a whole lot of honesty. Today, we're talking about something so many of us are living through but rarely talk about out loud. Aging parents, caretaking, raising kids, managing careers, and doing it all while we're single. Or at least that is mine and my guest's circumstance today. But truly, these things apply to anyone in this situation. It's the funny moments, the heartbreaking moments, the I can't believe this is my life moments, and the strength we don't always give ourselves credit for. So, pour a glass, pull up a chair, and settle in. This is grown woman talk. Unfiltered. Our guest today is Penny. And she and I are living similar life experiences right now, which I'm sure many of you are as well. We're both single. We both have an aging parent. We both have jobs to get done. Penny's been caretaking a large part of her life, so she also has a special needs brother. She cared for her father until he passed. And now she's in what she calls stage 2 and 3 of caretaking for her mother. Penny does have some family to help, but she also has her kids and travel. And let's face it, we all want and need some semblance of a social life outside of caretaking, especially if you're single. I own my own business, so while the business suffers, at least I don't have to worry about losing my job. I could lose my company, but I'm not dealing with a boss. Maybe in your situation, you do have someone to lean on, or you don't have to work. It certainly doesn't diminish the effort that this takes, how physically and emotionally draining it can be. And it is something I don't think we're ever really fully prepared for. Welcome, Penny. It's good to have you on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What are the 5 stages of caretaking?
Okay, so the 5 stages of caretaking, the first one would just be when you're doing just an infrequent but important doctor's visit with your parent or whoever, probably your parent. They can't drive, or they're nervous, or they're going to have to be sedated. So it's nothing too alarming, but you're just there for them. That's kind of stage 1. Stage 2 kind of progresses where they're needing a little more help. You're going to the grocery store to keep them off the roads driving. You are cooking more meals, picking up food. That's kind of where you are.
Just taking the weight off.
Just taking the weight off on 2. Number 3, on that stage, you're definitely more impacted. There's been a specific diagnosis. Your parent is in weekly or monthly treatments that you're going to see. You need to stay with them, or you're going to be getting them there. It just takes more time of your day. You're also going to be facilitating meals. You may have friends that want to help and support, and thank God for those casseroles and the church. But also just more cooking and picking up the reins where it's needed. On stage 4, this is where you really start getting more into crisis mode. The crisis mode is a lot more falls, so it's emergency running, it's calling for lift assist, it's going to the ER, it's, and then having an emergency surgery, staying in the hospital. If they have to go to rehab, you've got to be able to pivot, pack, and get wherever they need to be and have what they need to be. So that's kind of where you're kind of in a state of crisis a good bit of the time, and you're expecting the next crisis. Stage 5, unfortunately, is you've been in that crisis, and it is the end stage. So that's just where you're really the end of care comes in.
Hospice.
So, and that's the hard part. All of it is hard, but there's also a lot of joy. There's a lot of laughter. I mean, we just roll at our house that, if you gotta drive, if you gotta drive, keep it between the ditches. If you gotta, brakes are good. So we have all kinds of little sayings that, we just laugh about and just keep rolling because that's what you got to do.
Well, I've been at stage 4 for probably about a year, maybe a little less than that. And I actually found out a couple of hours that we've gone to stage 5. That's going to hospice. So
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I think the hardest part for me, for watching my parents age, is the diminishing physically, the diminishing emotionally, and unfortunately, my father also has dementia. So, and he's an extremely smart, capable, solid figure in my life that I don't recognize anymore. And then watching my mother have to care for him and go through all the stages that she never anticipated that she was going to be at. So for me, I think that's probably been the hardest. What's been the hardest part for you?
Well, because my mom has had so many falls, we have really had, at this point, we've had both hips replaced, a knee replaced, and then she had one fall so severely, she has a plate and 7 screws in her wrist. So I stay in a constant panic of don't fall. Please.
Familiar with that. Very familiar with that.
For the love of God, use your walker. Make sure those brakes are on. Or just sit down and I'll get it for you. So I find myself where I've never really truly been a patient person. And I'm always kind of the baby of the family. I have really had to step out of the baby and progress to being full-time mom and caretaking adult child. So it's never what you expect, but it is a blessing and it is a joy. It is an honor. And that's how I look at it.
So what do you think some people that they just don't get about having to take care of your parents? So the expectation versus the reality. What's one thing that they don't get?
Okay, for instance, most people don't really realize how much time your parent needs. What I'm seeing with my mom, and you have the 5 languages of love. Probably at this stage, and I'm sure you've seen it with your mom and your dad as well, is that quality time that you spend when you're not in crisis. Just bringing them a meal, watching a show with them, laughing at the show, and just, we find each other just leaning over and patting each other's hand or giving a little love and, kind of giggling. We'll drink wine too because why not? Might as well. So that's kind of the fun part of it. But people really not either they're younger than me or their parents live far away and they just are out of touch with what really goes into caregiving because their parents are still healthy.
Do you ever feel guilty? Like, I never say no. I mean, like I said, I drop things and whatever, but I did say no a couple of weeks ago, and then I felt like the worst person in the world. And I didn't think that it was necessary, and I wasn't in a position to do it, and I said no, but I felt awful.
Yes, guilt is the middle name. Everybody, if you're not feeling guilty, you're not living and breathing. You just gotta... like I feel guilty if my sister's doing something and she takes off work. Or I feel guilty if I can't get off work and mom pushes it and she drives my brother. Then I'm doubly worried that 1, they're going to fall, 2, they're going to have a car wreck, or 3, I'm just not there to pick up the pieces. So it's a kind of a weird control, but guilt, always. I feel guilty about work. I feel guilty with my kids.
Okay, let's switch to work.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm a business owner. I can drop stuff. I mean, I'd be able to pay my bills, but I can drop stuff and I don't have to deal with that situation. How do you manage it? I mean, you're in sales and, you're more in the corporate world. How do you manage it? I mean, is it kind of like when you have children and they get sick and,
A lot. A lot. And I'm very fortunate because the company I work for is always behind me and want me to do my best, but they also want me to take care of my family.
That's
so they
great.
have been great. But, one of the things that I do, fortunately, since I am a sales rep, is whatever area I am in, I will try and do sales calls in that area. And I just try to make it work. Or I get up an hour earlier. I do more
That's hard for
emails,
you.
more phone calls. It is. And then
get creative.
Yes, and I push harder and I'll push later into the day, whatever, to make sure that it gets done. But I just have to, and sometimes I feel guilty that my focus wasn't as great as it could be. But the great thing about guilt is that thriving emotion is it is an emotion that you can use to drive you forward and keep you progressing. And I guess that's the way I use it to work for me.
So one of the things that surprised me is, I work out, I'm in pretty decent shape, my core, whatever. The physicality of it all and the draining, both physically and emotionally. Like you said, my father falls all the time. He stands up, he's going to fall if you're not watching. So when I'm there, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm watching him every second. I'm worried about him. I'm following him, the toileting, the shower, all of that stuff. And it's extremely difficult. And by the time that I leave, even if I've only been there a couple of hours, I'm in pain. My body tells me how old I am. I just, and I'm exhausted. I have to go home and take a nap. I don't know how my mother does it on a daily basis. I really don't. What surprised you the most? I mean, maybe back when you started caretaking or now, what surprised you most?
When you said diminishing, my mom used to just be a force to be reckoned with, and all she wants to do, she is, but she just wants to garden. I mean, she just wants to go and do, and it just kills her that she can't. So, me finding that patience to, one, either make it fun for her sitting and just kind of changing lifestyle and our time spent together more. That's exhausting. Sometimes even, just the ER visits.
It takes
on a
all
basis.
night.
Oh,
Takes
literally.
all night.
I'm losing a night at least 1 or 2 nights a month.
But it's always rewarding as well, as you keep pointing out. And it sometimes can be funny.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the most ridiculous or unexpectedly funny moment that you had caretaking?
Okay, so after Mom's her knee replacement, we were expecting her to go to rehab, and it didn't work out. It was considered outpatient and not an emergency surgery. So we were like, okay, come home with Penny. We've done this before. So that next morning we're up. We're going to the bathroom. I'm helping up and down on the bathroom, and somehow we all slip and fall backwards into my shower. Mom's on top of me, shower curtains down. At the time, my son lived with me. He comes running in, and, everybody's in their glory. We've been to the bathroom, and we just got out of bed. And, it was not fun, and we had to just laugh and say, all right, we're going to call. We're going to make that call right now.
The lift assist to the rescue.
So, yeah. So that was probably the funniest, scariest, and, at least I broke her fall, and she didn't break anything else, was the joke.
So have you had a moment where you just had to laugh to keep from crying?
Every day. Every single day.
So, before we get into growth and self-care, we probably should touch on a couple of hard topics. So, what scares you or the most about this stage of life? Yours and hers.
You know what I'm seeing. And my mom is a devout Christian. My dad was as well, and that gives me a lot of peace. But with Mom, she's so aware of it. Every friend, church member, family member that passes, it's more traumatic. She experiences it on such a deeper level. It just, it's hard to watch. It's harder to console. And I pray that it won't be as painful when she passes, you know? It's the fear of loss is definitely kind of overwhelming for both of us in different ways.
And how do you deal with the grief? Like in my case, my mother's grief is going to be, compounded my grief, her grief. I know when your father passed, your mom. How do you deal with the grief?
It's easier with Daddy because we knew it was coming. We were able to kind of say our goodbyes. I know that Daddy did everything he could to stay alive as long as he did. I mean, the man hated broccoli, hated fish, loved cigarettes more than life himself, and gave it all up and ate that god-awful fish and broccoli every night and no salt. Oh, and had to give up coffee and caffeine. So, I mean, he did it. He suffered through it for a long time. So, I feel like now I just have a lot of peace over me because he put himself through such effort, and that gives me comfort. And just knowing what he gave to all of my children, my mom, all of us in the family. So we kind of carry on, always doing how he would want us to live and do. And that's...
You certainly do honor him, your family, your whole family does.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we do it.
So how has this changed you as a woman? Or what have you learned about your strength and your resilience?
Well, it's made me grow up. I was always the baby, and now I'm no longer the baby. But so now I really push to be the leader. Although my sister is a great leader. She's the older one. But as far as with my children and the example that they see of the effort and the care that goes in, both my parents were a huge part in their lives. So it's even painful, and I even deal with their grief. But watching it, but it's also the cycle of life. They are learning. And so it's opened me up to caring, acceptance, patience that I didn't know I have, and I need more. I need more patience. I mean, I can't watch my mom walk without saying, please, put on better shoes, use your walker, or just sit down. I feel like I could be less anxious and just let her be and give her that. So
But she'll fall.
That's probably one of my struggles, but I'm proud that every day, if you're not aware of it, you can improve. So
absolutely true.
That's where I kind of try to keep my awareness and focus.
So what advice would you give a woman entering in this stage of life?
Grace. Give yourself grace. Give your parents the grace to still be the adults that they are. They are, it's not fun to have to be helped. It's not fun to need help getting dressed. It's not fun needing to go to the bathroom help. It's not fun falling and just not having control on your own body. that you used to have. So giving them as much patience, dignity, and keep it as light as possible, because it's hard. And just know it's going to be hard, but there's also so much joy that I'm so much closer to them. I didn't even know it would be possible, but I am so close with my mother and my brother, and they are grateful. And I'm grateful just as much because it's that much more love. You never miss out on anything.
Well, you're very good at it.
I'm going to tear up. Goodness.
If you had to describe this season of life in one word, what would it be?
One word to describe this season of life. Caring and open. I have to have two. One won't work. Or maybe
you always have to have two.
Maybe my vocabulary will extend, but right now it's two, and it's caring and openness.
So tell me something that you're proud of in this journey. I mean, I think you've alluded to it a few times. But
Well, I just picking up the mantle. I saw both of my parents take care of both of their parents through the end stages of their life, and it's that part of growth and maturity and acceptance that you take care of your own, and it teaches your children to. And I'll have no regrets. And you won't either, that
That's
you
important.
did absolutely everything that you could when they needed you the most.
That's really important. I think a lot of people don't know that your self-care is just as important in your caretaking. As they say, you can't pour from an empty cup. And I know for a fact that we have both tried to do that, and it just doesn't work. This season can be extremely debilitating. What do you do for self-care? And do you have any specific boundaries?
No boundaries. Probably should have some. I, of course, because of my career, a lot of it is, and I've always told everyone, you've got to maintain yourself. So making sure that I feel as good about myself as possible. Hair, nails, makeup, time, shopping. That's my outlet, you know? I mean, it should be more gym, eating better, you know? I mean, I'm sure I could do a lot more of those, but...
Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I pretty much do the fun stuff. I try to keep it fun.
The wine.
The nails.
They look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you.
So, let's make a toast to the women over 40 who are navigating this season. Final point. What's one thing you want them to know?
It's not the end, it's the beginning.
Elaborate.
Well, even though you're watching someone at the end, life is a circle. You're beginning another phase. You're beginning a time of complete maturity. You know, it took me a long time in my 20s, or really until I had children, before I referred to myself as a woman versus a girl. So now, being a woman over 40, in her 50s, embracing that maturity and that wisdom that we collect every day we get through, that's kind of not to be afraid of. It's something to be proud of. Keep your head up, keep rolling, and do what God intended us to do, which is be mothers, caregivers, and embrace everybody. Hopefully, you know, everybody will end up okay.
All right, Penny.
Thank you,
Let's
Tammy.
You toast these ladies.
Oh, to all the ladies on beginning this journey, in this journey, and if they're at the end of this journey, just know that there's hope and peace, and you'll get in those feelings when it's time. It's not easy, and you're going to have to go through it, but it is part of life. Cheers.
Cheers. thank you, Penny. You have been my first guest, which is awesome, and a wonderful guest. And I think this is an important topic that people need to hear about and need to know that they're not alone. So thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us at the table today. If you're navigating aging parents, caretaking, motherhood, work, and everything else that life throws at you, I hope you heard something that made you feel seen, supported, and a little less alone. Being over 40 doesn't mean slowing down. It means stepping into a new chapter with clarity, humor, and the kind of strength you only earn by living life for real. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another grown woman who needs the reminder that she's doing the best she can and that she's not doing it alone. Until next time, stay grounded, stay grown, and stay unapologetic. This podcast is brought to you by BV Medical Solutions, 2905 Bob Wallace Avenue, Suite I. BV Medical Solutions specializes in wellness and in enhancing your quality of life with doctor-prescribed weight loss and peptides like retatrutide, NAD+, Morlin, or BPC 157. We take a whole body approach, which includes massage, IV therapy, aesthetics, radiofrequency microneedling, and hair growth. People need to practice self-care to be able to provide well for others. Especially caretakers can find themselves gaining weight, foggy brains, lower immunity. Cortisol, the hormone released during stress, can wreck your pancreatic system. That controls your metabolism, and it won't matter your habits or your diet. You'll be in constant storage mode. We have several solutions to reduce your cortisol levels. Let us help you improve your lifestyle, your outlook, and help you live your best life. Wellness is a journey, and we're on it with you.